It's been 4 years since George Floyd was murdered by a Minneapolis police officer. That officer was convicted and sentenced to a prison in Tucson. Floyd's murder sparked calls for police reform locally and around the country. So how much has changed? Arizona Horizon host Ted Simons recently spoke with Roy Tatum Jr., the Civic Engagement Director for the Arizona NAACP.
Roy, good to see you again, as always. Thank you so much for, good to have you here. 4 years. First of all, does it feel like 4 years?
No. Well.
Yeah. What's changed?
So much has happened over the last 4 years. We've been through a pandemic. We've obviously been through a presidential election. A lot has been discussed about that. Obviously, George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis. Derek Chauvin has been convicted. And there was a shift in the community at the time where there was a worldwide outrage around the murder of George Floyd. Now in 2024, that outrage has dwindled tremendously.
Why do you think that is?
Time. People want to get back to normal. Other things have taken precedent in many people's lives, from politics to economics to their personal lives.
What about calls, though, for police training, police reform? Those calls were made. It seemed like there was some action being taken. Has that slowed as well, do you think?
Well, there was a huge call and push for the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Mm-hmm. And that I thought for once we were going to see some federal legislation that was going to impact policing. And that did not happen. And so many people just kind of, I don't want to say they felt defeated, but they didn't feel that their energy was going to impact national or federal legislation. So I think people just got back to their local community.
I was going to say, though, but if it doesn't impact national and legislative as far as Capitol Hill is concerned, you still got local, you still got your local law enforcement and police departments. Have you seen changes there? We'll start with Phoenix Police.
I will say I've been a huge advocate of being engaged civically at the local level, because that is where the rubber meets the road. Mm-hmm. Your city council, your mayor, the city manager, those are the people that make the decisions that govern your local police department. And so here in Phoenix, we currently, as we talk about federal oversight, the Department of Justice has been investigating the City of Phoenix Police Department now for roughly 3 years.
A number of years.
Yeah.
But the Phoenix Police Department...
And we've seen change of leadership there as well.
Exactly. And the Phoenix Police Department is saying that there is more transparency, there is more training, there is more oversight. The DOJ needs to get that investigation report in there, and let's move on because we have made improvements. Are you buying that? I'm
not buying that, but I would love to see the Department of Justice findings of their investigation, because there were a number of, just remember, Phoenix Police Department was 4 years ago was the leader in lethal impact connections to the police, contact with the police. So you could die faster at the hands of the Phoenix police than the LAPD, the NYPD, the Dallas PD, Chicago police. Phoenix led the nation.
So when the Phoenix Police Department says, and the Phoenix officials say, that change would happen faster and better without the federal oversight, you say...
I say that the federal oversight is necessary. I would like to see more federal oversight across the country. But once again, Phoenix led the nation in use of lethal force in the country. So you have to investigate why that is.
So 4 years later, after George Floyd, how best to take what happened and make the kind of changes that you need to see?
It's hard, because the police culture is so embedded in the community, whereas people want to believe that all police officers are good. And I'm not saying that all police officers are not good, because I believe inherently that many people come to the police department with a heart and an attitude to serve the community. However, the culture begins to take that person to create a us versus them type of scenario. And so if you're embedded in that culture, it's hard to buck that.
So with everything we've said, how best to remember the legacy of George Floyd?
Well, we have to remember the legacy of George Floyd individually and collectively. Many people felt the pain of George Floyd because they were home. Remember, the world was shut down due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And so families, children, everyone was home when we saw the live feed of George Floyd being murdered under the knee of Chauvin, Derek Chauvin. And so that fostered, I can only imagine the community conversations or the household conversations that many people probably did not have to have during, whether it was Trayvon Martin or Freddie Gray or Sterling or Sandra Bland. I can continue the names. Right. And so many people did not have to have those conversations. But when you're sitting there watching TV and you saw a murder on TV, you had to have some conversation in house.
So 30 seconds left here. Are you optimistic?
Am I optimistic about?
About police reform?
I wish I could be. I will say this. I have engaged with local police departments for over the last decade. And many police departments want to do the right thing. And I believe that with the right leadership in place, we can make progress.
All right. Civil rights advocate Roy Tatum, Jr. Always a pleasure, sir. Good to see you again.
Yes, sir. Good to see you. Thank you.